Okay, so I would like to welcome Witold Ferenc and Maciej Bogaczyk. And Witold is the founder and CEO of Spark Software Limited. And Maciej here is the investment director at MCI and PE managers, growth stage technology investor within the PEM Group, focusing on fintech, IoT, consumer internet and gaming segments. And to date, he has successfully managed funding rounds of PEM Group into Answear, Ganymede, Auctionata and Azimo. And in the past, Maciej also gained management consulting experience within the FS sector, having worked for BCG and the UniCredit group on projects for more than 15 clients in 10 countries. We're going to actually have a bit of a discussion, and we're going to be talking about cooperation between online businesses and private equity and venture capital funds. But before we start, I would like to introduce them, and if you would like to say a little bit about yourselves before we kick off.
Yep. So as you actually well introduced myself, I've been with MCI and private equity managers for 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was consultant doing projects for financial sector within both Boston Consulting Group and UniCredit Group out of Milan headquarters. And as you also mentioned, I'm covering growth equity investments within MCI, which basically translates into Series B rounds, and our ticket is between 5 and 15 million euro. So it's relatively large ticket as for technological investments here in Poland. That's why we look for targets all across Europe. In terms of our focus, you mentioned as well, it's consumer internet, fintech, and IoT. So those are the hot topics that are on our radar quite recently.
Okay, Witold?
I'm an entrepreneur, and this Spark Software company, which I founded almost half a year ago, is my second business with MCI, because previously I founded Frisco PL, which is an e-grocery that operates in Warsaw. It was founded 10 years ago, and that was the beginning of my career with groceries and tech groceries, because this is actually the focus of both companies. Frisco was just a home delivery grocery. Spark Software is a company that will produce a tech platform for the grocery business, but will not actually deal with deliveries and the fulfillment operations.
Okay, thank you for your short intros. Now, basically, I've got a few questions for the guys here, and then I'm going to open up questions to the floor if you have anything to ask. First of all, Maciek, I wanted to ask you, what is your experience when it comes to cooperation between online businesses and the private equity and VC funds?
Well, I mean, it all depends on the stage of the growth and of the development of the company. So within MCI, we are actually tackling 3 groups of companies. One is early stage, one is growth and expansion stage, and one is large buyout companies, meaning large positive EBITDA, and those are basically large corporations. So when it comes to cooperation with early stage, it's about guidance and working sometimes even on a day-to-day business. In terms of the growth and expansion ones, it's about being on the supervisory board and helping them with the strategic decisions. And when it comes to being on the board of large corporations, it's mainly about supporting them with strategic alliances, with M&As and things like IPO. So it all varies. Yeah.
How do you see it from your point of view?
Well, I've got a different perspectives from both companies,
sure.
Because MCI entered Frisco when it was already 30 million zloty company. So it wasn't it's an early stage, of course, but it wasn't a seed project. The second company, the Spark Software, is a seed project. So the contributions of the funds and the MCI were different. With regard to Frisco, basically what was most important, and it actually worked quite well, the first was introducing a strategic focus, because previously the owner of Frisco was neither an investment fund nor a strategic player, so actually didn't have the competence strategically pushing the business forward. So the first thing which we did with the MCI was to reposition the business strategically, and after a year, a strategic investor, the Eurocash, entered the company, and now it's a company with a strong financial investor, the MCI, and the Eurocash. So I think it worked pretty well for the business because it's on a track of fast growth, and although I'm no longer a shareholder of the company, I'm quite optimistic about its future. My experience with the second company, with the startup, Spark Software, was quite different because obviously it was the seed funding. We still don't have a product. We'll launch it in September. And here I would say that what is most important because we work with two funds, is help from the funds in structuring the product, because there are so many options of how you can distribute the product, how you can package it, and there are no tough criteria which you can use to do it properly. So with the insights of people who have seen many startup projects and other businesses in many countries, it can be very helpful to craft the product in such a way that it has best chances for success.
I mean, you're talking about setting up, and you have a startup, and it's in Poland. I mean, I wanted to ask, are there any differences in cooperation between working with Polish companies and companies from abroad?
I think there aren't major ones, but I mean, from my personal experience, because I've been with an MCI on two boards. One is Auctionata, which is online auction house out of Berlin, covering DACH region, and also like they have pretty strong US operations, and it's a company with 280 employees. So that's one company that I have experience with, and the second one is Azimo. That's a quite recent investment of MCI, and that's a company of roughly, I think, 100 employees. I would say that dealing with those companies is more structured. It's more clear when it comes to what they need and what they want, compared with the companies that I deal with here in Poland. But I think it's mainly the reason is mainly about the stage of development. So the one that I was actually mentioning. So those companies from Germany and from UK are having a strong management board. They have experienced team, and that's a main difference. Here in Poland, the contacts are often more informal because there is no, let's say, language difference and so on. But as I said, it's mainly the difference comes from the stage of development. So when it comes to dealing with, let's say, more late stage companies here in Poland, the differences are pretty much non-existent.
And Witold, your company is funded by Polish venture capital funds?
Yes, it is funded by two Polish venture capital funds, but we have two foreign business angels. And well, I don't have experience with foreign funds. Obviously I had a round of discussions with foreign funds, and obviously, well, my perspective is that being from Poland and being a startup, it's very hard to get foreign funding, because obviously there's huge risks for any fund in funding basically PowerPoint presentation and the credibility of a founder. But if you want to find funding abroad, it's very hard for a Pole to do that without a product or a proof of concept. In Poland, if you have some credibility, I had some credibility from Frisco, it was much easier because obviously I had an idea, a concept, but I had a track record of delivering results. So I think that for Polish entrepreneurs, founders, people who have ideas and want to seek early stage funding, I think that Polish seed funds are much better option, and although they are like hard to talk with as all the funds, they're just more likely because the credibility issue is not so problematic as it is abroad.
And again, we're going back to your point about cooperation between, let's say, early stage, and the more mature the company is, and the more chances they probably have of getting foreign funding. I mean, I wanted to ask how, Witold, I mean, how do you convince funds to invest in a startup? I mean, let's go back to the basics here.
Well, I think that there is no magic formula. It's all the combination of the person, of the founder, of an idea, and an ability to convince that you're able to execute, because startups are all about execution. It's not about the ideas, because there are so many great ideas which never get executed. There are so many talented people who just fail to build businesses. So I think it's the combination, from my perspective, of understanding what I've had numerous discussions with Tomasz Czechowicz about the new project. He's known me before, so I had startup credibility, but I had to understand his thinking about the internet, about e-commerce, and try to ride the wave of his thinking. Because obviously, if you have a connection and the investment fund understands what you're after and that you're on the right wave, it's so much easier. The risks are always there, but the question is how much potential the investment fund sees in the project, and I think this is, apart from credibility, a crucial thing.
And this is you're talking about execution being one of the most important elements of the startup, and in fact, this is why I'm going to turn to you now, Maciek. I mean, for PEM, what kind of operational support do you have, and what does it look like?
You mean like dealing with the companies?
Yeah, dealing with the companies.
So it again comes back to the, let's say, first thesis that I stated. It all depends like on which stage of the companies we're looking at. So with the more early stage companies, we're testing their, let's say, product market fit. We're supporting them with setting up the basic KPIs. We're helping them with getting the right people and helping them connect within our, let's say, ecosystem. With more mature, meaning Series A, so the companies that already have a product on the market, we're helping them with recruiting middle management, which is always important, and because it's a cornerstone for scaling up the business in the future. And with, let's say, more late stage companies, so here is the topic that I deal with like on a daily business. It's about helping them with strategic initiatives. For example, with Answear, we are supporting Krzysztof Bajołek and the team with international expansion. Helping them recruit expansion managers, helping them set up the relationships on each of the markets that we are going after. With other companies of a growth stage, we're supporting them with, let's say, fundraising and building the syndicate of the new rounds. And when it comes to the late stage ones, companies, we're, for example, supporting them with IPO process. So it was the case of Witold, that it's a German company. They have a bunch of German investors, but apparently it was MCI who supported them with finding the right investment bank and helping them make this IPO so successful.
And how did that work out?
Well, it worked out quite well, actually. It was, I think, 300 million euro IPO on Frankfurt Stock Exchange, and overall the sentiment is quite positive about the company. The company has, you know, like a big pile of money to expand both through M&As and through organic growth. So I think that was actually the case.
Then.
Yeah.
Well, but if I could put a different perspective on the funds contributions, because some people may think that there are the good funds which help make successful businesses, but I would put it the other way. There are like good entrepreneurs which are selected by the good funds, and they just provide advice, because at the end of the day, it's the entrepreneur or the managers who execute. And
that's true.
There's a lot of good advice in books, in various fora, so there's not much problem with advice. I think that the strength of the good investment funds, which you can see by the track record, exit track record, is that they are capable of selecting the good entrepreneurs, the good companies. And it's not that they make the success, they just find the people who have the determination and the power and the capacity to execute, and then the combination of their advice, their insights, their network just provide for the perfect marriage.
Yeah, it's actually maybe to extend it. Maybe it's not very popular what I would say, but it's about natural selection. So it's like, you know, good guys from VC world would like to work with good guys from the entrepreneurship world, and it's about like sitting with the same level of, you know, like smart people in the room, I think. Yeah.
So it's not just about a pimpin' PowerPoint presentation then?
No, I would say so.
But it starts with that.
Yeah, that starts with that. But once you get like you know, like on a daily business, it's about not
hard
even
grind.
yeah. It's about bullets in the emails rather than like the sexy slides. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have for questions. I mean, I'd like to open the discussion up to the floor. If anyone has any questions to ask, either Maciek or Witold, would anyone like to ask any questions? We have a couple of experts sitting right here.
It's actually a very quiet auditorium, so. I mean,
no? Absolutely not? Okay, well, in which case, I would like to thank both Witold Ferenc and Maciej Bogaczyk for coming in. A round of applause, please. And
I think it's time for lunch because everyone is like, yeah.
Well, it's almost
already
like in fact, before we have the lunch break actually starts at 2:15, so we got some time to go. We actually have the Honorary Awards at 12:45, so we still have 20 minutes if you want to grab some coffee, some fruit, or some candy. There's plenty around. I actually saw some funny wigs in the men's bathroom as well. If you want to take some crazy selfies. So at 12:45 on track 2, which is like, come out of the room here and take a right. There are the Honorary Awards, and they start in 20 minutes at 12:45. Again, guys, I'd like to thank you for coming in. It was really good having a chat.
Maybe one word about like MCI and PE managers.
Go for it.
Here is also like Michał Wrzołek from our early stage fund. So if any of entrepreneurs would like to talk, he's here, like, and
He's fishing.
Yeah, hunting.
Come on, we've got floating cash in the room, guys. You've got to take advantage. Many thanks once again, guys. Thanks very much.
Cheers, man.
Thank you. Thank you.